Wall Street closed up for the day, but the Republicans' plan goes down. Republicans propose a stimulus package smaller, with very few items in there, a smaller stimulus check, and less people getting a stimulus check. What's the Biden camp's reaction to it? I have all the details, and I compare the two proposals revealed minutes ago. Meantime, great news for medical recipients. New announcements for the Biden camp today about opening a new door for more people to get assistance for medical assistance right away. Then, questions about hazard pay. Why is it not in the Republicans' plan by the man who wrote the hazard pay bill 2020? Then, great news for SSI and SSDI low-income families as SNAP benefits are extended over the weekend. Finally, concerns about the new virus variant, the South African virus variant, and the concern that the stimulus package is not big enough. I have all the details for you on this afternoon's recording, third stimulus check and third stimulus package. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Third Stimulus Check and Third Stimulus Package with breaking financial news across the board, from Wall Street to Main Street. From high or low, I have all the details for you on today's update about your stimulus and financial news. The big details across the board include a Republican counterproposal to the Democrats' $1.9 trillion bill, a reopening of Obamacare for 3 more months, new great assistance for SNAP that was never announced before, questions about hazard pay, and especially for the man who wrote the bill and now is running from it, and finally concerns whether the virus is robust enough for the stimulus package, and is the stimulus package robust enough for the virus? If you've not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. Meantime, also like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. And with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here this morning is that, or actually this afternoon, it's that there is a Republican counterproposal. And the Republican counterproposal, not so bueno. $1,000 stimulus checks. Yes, a measly $1,000 stimulus checks. And not even $1,000 for dependents either. Only $1,000 for individuals, cutting the eligibility in half. What are we doing here? The Democratic proposal is a $1,400 stimulus check, doubled for married couples, $2,800, adult dependents, $3,200. What is the Republican proposal? $1,000 for individuals, $500 for everyone else, and they're not even done cutting there. They want to cut the eligibility so that people can only get a stimulus check if they made less than $40,000, basically cutting the eligibility in more than half, almost 60% down. The current eligibility level is about $76,000. So what was the Joe Biden and Harris's reaction to this absurd cutting of their third stimulus package? Their reaction is, we'll take a look at it. On Friday, when offered a counterproposal from the progressives, a stimulus check every month until the pandemic was over, what was their reaction to that? Silence. Not particularly clear. Elsewhere, a new report out of the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, this morning suggests this economy is doing really well. And that's without stimulus. Certainly the type of report that a counterproposal would use to say, why are we doing stimulus? The economy is doing really well. The CBO predicts that GDP will grow at 3.7% over the next few months of this year, that GDP growth will average 2.6 over the next 5 years, and that unemployment will fall to 5.3% by the end of this year, and that inflation will stay stable at 2%. These are numbers that Jerome Powell said that this would signal that this economy is doing well. That now, these are prediction numbers. These aren't numbers that are actually occurring. But these are numbers that a counterproposal would latch onto and say, why are we doing stimulus? Everything's going pretty well. Needless to say, the Republicans have yet to use this as their ammunition, but that is certainly expected. Elsewhere, there's good news across the board, as the Biden camp announced something really quite wonderful today. They announced the expansion of the window to get onto Obamacare, the 3-month enrollment period, for an additional new period. Normally, the enrollment period to get on Obamacare is the months of November and December. November 1st to December 15th. But under a new executive order, you can go and get enrolled on Obamacare now for a 3-month period starting February 15th. This is breaking news, and this is really great news. You can get enrolled for 3 months starting February 15th. Go to healthcare.gov. But what about the two proposals, the Republican and the Democrat? What do we have at the moment? The Democrats, $1,400 a stimulus check, $2,800 for married couple, $3,200 for adult dependents. Not as so promised during the transition papers of just 30 days ago. The Biden camp promised that plus $2,000 for everyone. So it would have been $1,400 plus $2,000. $3,200 plus $2,000. That $2,000 was to be for 2021. All this stuff is left over from last year. Next, FPUC going forward at $400 a week, not retroactive. Why did Joe Biden do that? His plan was to look accommodating to the Republicans. Look accommodating, be more of a centralist, do smaller numbers. Let's do $400 a week, even though our transition papers in December said $600 a week in retro. What did the Republicans do? Throw it right back in his face. They came in at $300 a week going forward. $300 a week going forward with no retroactiveness whatsoever. The Republicans said, who cares about your multiple stimulus checks? We're not even going to give one stimulus check. We're going to do a half of a stimulus check. We're going to do $1,000, and we're not even going to give it to everyone. How about everything else? SSI and SSDI, Social Security and railroad benefits, neither side has it in there. On Sunday, Elizabeth Warren slammed the Democrats, saying, why is this not in here? You promised it. You put it in writing. You co-signed my proposal. You took my proposal for the campaign purposes. You took my proposal for the purposes of the transition papers, and now it's not in there? Seniors need this $200 a month. People on disabilities need this $200 a month. Why is this not in there? U.S. progressives are not happy with the Biden camp, saying, you need to do stimulus checks every month. What's going on here? And then there's a question about hazard pay. Who has hazard pay in their bills? Republicans don't have it. Joe Biden seems to have it, but we still don't have the bill. So we don't know if it's big or if it's talk and no walk again. What doesn't make sense in this entire equation is that in 2020, Mitt Romney, the co-author of this $1,000 stimulus check counter proposal, wrote a hazard pay bill. Now he's running from it. The hazard pay bill that Mitt Romney wrote was incredibly good. It said, 1, the employer must apply for hazard pay. 2, the employer is paid to apply for hazard pay. 3, the employer must get you the hazard pay. 4, you would get hazard pay if you worked during the 2020 period of the pandemic. Now in 2021, he's throwing away his own bill. If that sounds familiar, that's what Harris is doing with her multiple stimulus checks every month until the pandemic's over. But there was good news over the weekend. That good news came from SNAP. Joe Biden, in a very quiet, not well announced statement on Friday, issued a memorandum, not particularly executive order, but a memorandum changing eligibility for SNAP. For the first time ever, SNAP is now being extended to children 6 years or younger, so they can get coverage as well on your SNAP benefits. That's number 1. 2, if they've had to stay home because of the pandemic from school, PBET, that will be extended to them as well, and retroactively to August. 3rd, they're going to get a step up of their benefits, and that step up will come in at about $134 a month. And finally, that's a number nationally, but the number could be higher, as high as much higher in states like Hawaii or territories like the U.S. Virgin Islands and places like that. Really big, great news. Finally, the virus. The concern is that the stimulus package is too small for a series of reasons. 1, it's too small because it's not as promised. 2, it's too small because there's a concern of a Wall Street bubble. 3, that's too small because unemployment rates are not improving. 4, it's too small because the poverty level, it keeps on, more people falling into the poverty level. But now there's concerns at 5, the pandemic was not gauged correctly in writing the bill. The bill was written by Joe Biden at a time in which he said we're going to reopen the businesses and reopen the schools in 90 days, and this is a bill to get you back to normal. All accounts now say you're not going to get back to normal. Over the weekend, his number one COVID specialist during his transition period said, you're on the beach right now. It's 75 degrees outside. It's beautiful. Infection rates are dropping. We're reopening outdoor dining in California and reopening outdoor dining in New York. But get ready, because there's a Category 5 hurricane off the coast, and it's about to hit, and you're never going to see death tolls like you've ever seen in the last 45 years I've been practicing medicine. What is he referring to? The South African variant, discovered in Baltimore on Saturday with a person who had not traveled internationally at all. The South African variant of the virus, COVID-19, spreads faster, is more contagious, and currently has no vaccine specifically for it, even though there's ones underway, and they say the current vaccines will protect you up to 6 months, but after that they don't. His message is loud and clear. We are not being prepared for the South African variant of the virus. And if we aren't, we're not going to be ready for it if people are not vaccinated. On Saturday, a Politico report said that 25 million doses that Joe Biden was betting on having to vaccinate 100 million people in 100 days has been lost. Lost. Imagine that. If they're lost, then what? Well, the other big issue is that there's not 100 million doses to vaccinate anyone in this country. All indications, including his CDC chairman, says we don't have enough doses to vaccinate 100 million people in 100 million days. That all brings us back to stimulus. You need more stimulus, bigger stimulus, and more stimulus right now. And that's what viewers have been saying. Viewers have been saying, don't go smaller, go bigger. Republicans want to go narrower, that's fine, but we need to go bigger. Go bigger at a time in which, yes, economic data from CBO may say something's going to be good and better and fresher, but the concern is, where are we going after that? The concern is, get this done right now, because if you don't fix it right now, the situation will get worse. The question as we sit here today is, where is the negotiations of the bills going? Nancy Pelosi had said that the bill will be called for a vote early this week in the House of Representatives, because last week it was passing the subcommittees, and that the subcommittees were pushing to figure out whether the language and the numbers are correct. She wanted that done by Friday so that the bill would be called for a vote this week, and then land in the Senate, be voted upon by the end of the week, and then land on the president's table and be signed by the end of the week. But yet, it hasn't happened. We haven't seen the bill. We'll see the bill the moment it comes to the floor for a vote. The question is, will the bill have in there what we thought was going to be in there? At the moment, this channel is still working off of a 30-page summary obtained nearly exclusively from the Biden-Harris camp that summarizes a 6,000-page bill. We have no other data. We don't have press conferences. We don't have press statements. We don't have new writings from the Biden-Harris camp. All we have is that statement about the check amount, the FPUC, $400 a week to September, nothing retro. We have some statements about tax credits. We have some statements about maybe there's some hazard pay, don't know the amount. We have some statements about business grants and business loans, don't know the amount. We have paid sick leave, $1,400 a week. We don't know how you get it. And we have a student aid supplement, financial aid, $1,700 for a college student. Don't know anything about it. There's no mention of SSI, SSDI. There's no mention of student loan debt forgiveness of $10,000. We have no other data. The question is, how long are we going to have to wait for this data? And will this bill be called for a vote at the same time that Plan B is called for a vote? That's a reconciliation bill. The question is, when, how, and how soon? On Friday, Janet Yellen rushed into a meeting with Harris and Biden saying, get this done right now. What's taking too long? That's been the message of viewers as well. Get it done right now. What's taking too long? Ultimately, the longer you wait, the more stimulus you need. The longer you wait, it doesn't become less stimulus, it requires more stimulus. But as Joe Biden sits here today, he, by all accounts, was not expecting a counterproposal from the Republicans. He was expecting them to work off of his proposal after 2 weeks of Zoom chats saying that, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. They didn't talk to him. They came back with a lowball offer, countering his too low number to start. had Joe Biden started at $600 a week of FPUC retro, with multiple stimulus checks, with $10,000 of hazard pay, with SSI and SSDI at $200 a month with a 20% increase and a new step up, and an EIDL grant and an EIDL loan, had he come in with all those things, you would have been positioned in a good place to deal with an impending counteroffer that's very low. Instead, he started low. And now what does he do? We shall see. If you have questions or comments on today's video, drop them in the comments below. I might feature them in tomorrow's recording. Coming up next is a live recording of What the Chuck. I'll be answering your questions on air, so make sure you stay tuned. As always, stay informed, stay focused, and stay LA for more.